So here's the original handle that came with the chisel. Not sure what's going on here, but this isn't proper. And I think that was an add-on at some point. So I called the customer and asked him if he minded if I changed it. I did see some Union Chisels that had a similar handle, but I have an old chisel. It came with this handle here, and it's got the leather ferrule on top, and I believe that's how I'm going to do his. This is a nice beefy handle, and it just happens to fit in there. It's a little big, but as I adjust it, it'll fit in there perfectly. And so that's what I'm going to model the handle on. So then we can go over to the lathe. But before we do that, I want to mark the center of my, I'm going to use this as my blank for the handle. It should be plenty big enough. So we'll mark the center. I've already marked the other side. And this is just an easy way of doing it. I mean, everybody, some people use a center finding jig. Just find that to be just as easy. And so once you have that, then what I'll do is I get my bird cage awl, and that's AWE. And this doesn't have to be exact. All I'm doing is puncturing a hole for my centers to go into on my lathe. That's ready to have the centers put in. So the next step here is to actually turn the handle. Using this piece of wood here, I was going to use some nice bird's eye maple, but it wasn't long enough, so I'm having to use regular maple, which is fine. It'll be plenty sturdy enough for a handle. It's tough wood. So what I do is I just take the chuck and just pound it in. And then I'll put my tailstock up to the other hole that I put in here. Lock it in. Okay, so now I'm going to have to just turn this into a spindle. So that's pretty straightforward. It's just spindle turning. So go ahead and do that right now. One of these days, my lovely wife will buy me a 12-inch tool rest. But until then, I've got this 6-inch. Not the best for doing longer pieces. Okay, so I make sure I'm on the lowest speed here. I've got my face shield on. Always use the face shield when you're roughing in a spindle, because you never know when one of these things come flying off right at the beginning. Once it becomes round, the balance is good. It should be pretty well balanced with it square like that, but so it's on the lowest speed. And now I'm going to just go ahead and take off the corners. It's shot several times, so just if you look here, see how it's spun inside here? That's what it's doing. So you really have to pound this in good in order to get it to seat. Should have done that a little bit better the first time around. So this goes in here. Get a little bit sturdier hammer. So hopefully that's a little better. That's it. So how I'm going to turn this is originally like this, because I'm going to put a tenon for this, but I'm going to do it longer so I can get it into my chuck. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to have to fit this leather on there, and I'm going to have to turn it. So if I have a tenon out here that I can grab hold of, it'll give me something I can use to turn it. And then one of the last things I'm going to do is just saw that end off. But it'll also give me a chance to turn this piece very precisely. So anyway, that's what I want to do. So that's how I'm going to turn it. Now that we got the spindle round, okay, I'm going to take my caliper here and set it to the max diameter of the piece I'm going to be replicating of this handle. So, and actually I like to set it a little bit more because of, you know, sanding and finishing, so just leave it a little bit proud. That gives you a little wiggle room there. So I set it about 1/16 or 2 millimeters larger. I'll be referencing that here in a few minutes. So now that I've got my caliper set, I can take it down to size. I've taken off my face shield because it's round now, so the danger's past. So now we're ready to mark it up to the. So I'm going to be putting it on orienting it this way. I'm going to be turning a tenon on this end that I can later put in my chuck so that I can turn down the leather pieces I cut for it. So I'll go ahead. There's our inspector. Inspector Cat.
He's leaving.
Okay, he's leaving. We must have passed inspection. So I'm basically marking all the high and low points here, and then the dimensions. So you make them nice and dark so that when the thing's turning, you'll be able to see the spots. Okay. All right. Now it's just a matter of making this look like this, like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn this spindle over here, turn that tenon. So I'm going to get the rough diameter of that. It doesn't have to be exact because I'll cut out the leather or whatever it needs to be. Let's see, that says it's just a tad, it's like tad over ½ inch. So we'll go ahead and take that down. And now that we got our roughing gouge done, we start getting our specialized tools out. I really do like these Easy Wood carbide tips. They're really good for doing. Make sure I've got the right adjustment there. When you're turning these tenons, these carbide tip tools are really nice. We got ways to go with that. I think we're about there. A little bit more. And actually, I'll have to go in a little bit because I'll have to go in the depth of this. So I got to bring that in some. Matter of fact, that looks good. Okay, so next part is I'm going to shape this downhill region down to this low point here. Maybe a little bit more of that. Yep, that's good. All right, so I'll use this tool here to basically we're going to take this down to the low point. This is our low point. This is a high point. So and the slope is pretty gradual from about here. Let's see. Where does the slope start? About here. And really, I'm going to do this a lot by eye because this is an aesthetic thing. And so, you really
Why did you change blades there?
Huh?
Why did you change chisels?
Because because this gouge is better at doing curves. So that's the high point, and that would be the low point. So I'll go a little lower there. There is a lot to aesthetics here. It's got to look appealing to your eye, and you know when it doesn't look good. See how it looks too thick right now. And so the actual thickness of this is it's thinner. So I'm gonna come out here and bring it down a little bit. See how it gets thinner? It's thinner than the iron piece right there. A lot of times I'll overlay it over here to just see how far I'm off. You see, I got quite a bit of thickness in here to get rid of, right in here, because it doesn't look right.
You want to make sure it's not a trick of the eye though, because your cat is
Well, it measured, yeah, well, that's, see, I'm about deep enough there, but it's these hills that have to go away. good place. So I'm gonna get this other tool again. Sort of go back and forth.
Did I do that?
No. Okay, that's good.
Oh, is it? The inspector's back. Is it good? You passed.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn the this portion. So I'll set my calipers to that depth. So on this one, I set my parting tool. Get my parting tool, and with the parting tool, if you just go in a straight depth, it'll bind on there, so you have to go a little wider. I don't think that's it yet, but I'll check it. And this one's actually a little bit bigger than it needs to be, so if I go a little past it, that's not a big deal. Alright, that's it. So, that's it for the parting tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish getting this straight across here. And this. So it has a slight little bevel on it. Yep. So I was looking at it, and I noticed I have to chop this off. This little hill has to be chopped off. Okay, I like that. I like that shape. We're almost there. So then it's just a matter of rounding this off a little bit. It's almost straight, actually, so. And what I'm going to do, just bear with me. I'm actually going to bring it down to that. I got to be real careful with that because it's really, really sharp. As you can see, it was cutting my hair. That looks good. That looks real good. I'm real happy with that. Now, we'll take this out. Just as a test, we'll test how deep this is. See, it's that deep, so I could probably go another ½ inch. I'm not going to go that far, but I'm going to go a little further than what I measured. There's a lot to this. This is just good, judgment, personal judgment. Okay, so I just made a little boo-boo there, a little happy accident. A little design change. So be careful with your tools. Okay, so you notice this is tapered, so we're going to start doing a little taper on there. It's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it pretty much like that. And I'll adjust it once I cut it off of the spindle there. Alright, so now we're getting to the point where I'm going to sand it, because it's the shape I want, and it's a little rough in a couple of places, so time to clean that up. I'm going to sand it now, and when you sand, you have to turn your speed all the way down. Otherwise, it just it clogs up your sandpaper too much. So.
What grit are you using?
This is probably about a 200 grit right here. I probably should go a little bit more, but lower grit, but I'm just seeing how this is going to do.
We have masks on.
There's a couple of places I gotta get a lower grit because there's too many grooves in here. But this might be fine with that. Yeah, it looks really good. I'm very happy with that shape because it's nice, elegant, gentle curve down. And it's just a matter now removing my work lines, these lines there, but those come out real easy.
Which lines? I missed it.
These. All right. Yeah, I went and got 150 grit. Okay, sometimes what you have to do is with it turned off, you gotta sand with the grain. Sometimes that's the easiest way to get rid of those marks. The last thing you want in your handle is tool marks from the lathe. There's such hard wood. Now, if I was better with bevel gouge, I could have got that probably mirror smooth with bevel gouge, but I've gotten so many catches with that I don't like loading my projects with it. Alright, let's see how that did. Yeah, there's still some tool marks in there, but the majority of them are gone.
In the meantime, they can be entertained by our clock.
You kind of forget it's there after a while.
That's the grandfather clock we found for $20 at the restore.
Howard Miller grandfather clock.
Yep.
It will get hot too, just be careful. Sometimes if I get a stubborn line, I'll actually hit it with the tool to try to fix it, but if my lines are already the way I like them, try not to do anything but sandpaper at this point. But in these curves, sometimes it's real difficult to get those tool marks out. There's still a little bit there. Yeah, this is looking really good. I'm gonna hit that with the tool, I believe, because you'll see that line when I kick it up here. You gotta oil that. There's not a lot. There we go.
Which
All right,
one?
huh?
Which one?
This one right here. I'll just hit it lightly with the tool. That's good. Still one at the bottom there. Got rid of the one on the collar. Or did I? Alright, so at this point, I'm going to get a finer grit sandpaper and polish this up a little bit. And if there's any scratches, it'll show up here.
Which grid is this?
This is about 400. Yeah, there's one at the bottom of that valley. So what I generally do is I drop back one, I go over the whole thing with the grain, much as possible. This is one of the hardest parts about turning, is getting rid of those daggone tool marks. Especially on a really hard wood. I know a lot of people don't clean up their tool marks, but it's just, you go through all this effort, you might as well clean that stuff up.
people used to put their initials, engrave their initials on the chisel metal part.
Well,
I guess
some people did.
To
If
keep them from being stolen, or?
if you worked in a trade and you were working with a bunch of other workers, it's just one way to keep your
Yeah,
tools
you get 'em
separated.
confused, yeah.
And believe me, when you put a lot of effort into sharpening and you got investment in tools and you care for them and your coworkers don't necessarily care for theirs, you want to get your tool back that you put a lot of effort into.
So people now, I guess just for,
They put Sharpie.
well, maybe like getting a mark or something, burning it in the wooden handle, or?
For my more expensive tools, I'll put like a mark with some like fingernail polish in a small obscure place.
Like when you get to a class and you
Yeah, so
get
that
them all mixed up.
if there's two tools that look just alike, I'll be able to tell mine apart, and there's no dispute. Because I've never had anybody take any of my tools at a class or anything. Although Chris Forrest talks about how he's been through several different tools that got misplaced during the years of him teaching classes. So, all right, let's put some more sandpaper on there and see what happens. That's that spot that I hit by accident. And that's all it took. That spot is gone. Sometimes it's just a very light touch can make all the difference. All right, let's see how she fits. Tenon on there. This is a crosscut saw that I'm using, a Veritas. Okay, so now we can just see how well it fits into the socket of the chisel. That's the beauty of this. So what I'm doing right now, checking for high spots. Anything that's got a mark on it is a high spot. So, wow, that thing's sharp. So you hit the high spot. It looks like that end down here is a high spot. See how sharp that chisel is? This is the one that's going in. Any place that's dark is high because it's rubbing up against the housing. And you keep removing high spots until you get it to fit. theoretically, every time you do that, it should go in just a little bit further. See, now it's, and so what I can do to save myself some time is it looks like it's more uniform now. I can actually turn that a little bit on the lathe. And so for that, I have a chuck. Oh, wrong way. Now this isn't going to be exactly centered because but it'll be close enough. Because we're not doing precision turning right now. This is just more shaping. I'm gonna put my other tailstock on there and remove it. The other one has a spike that comes out, and that way it'll sit in there real nicely. Boom, that just centers it. Now, the one problem is I won't be able to put the, go all the way to the end, but I got a solution for that too. Just bear with me. So I tighten it down, because you know that this thing should be centered, right? So you tighten this down. Now it should be pretty close to center. Now we can back this guy off. And put our burr back in, our little point. And we don't need to go far, just enough to support it. Okay, make sure we're turned down. And see, it is nicely, riding nicely in there. And now we'll just take off a little bit at a time until we get it to fit perfectly. Don't want to do too much because you don't want it to be too loose. Okay, that was it loosening up. All right, now we back it off. I back it off a lot. Put our chisel in there. Again, spinning around. So it hits those high spots. Looks like it's still down there at the bottom. So I think what it does is it curves down. So I'm going to taper that a little bit more on the end. Let's check that. I'm noticing it's going a little bit further every time. All right, so got some more high spots to hit. let's give that a shot. This is a continual process of refinement. I'll just hit my nice edge. I'll be careful. Again, showing high. Getting real close now. All right, I'm stopping right there. I'll show you why. Because you have to give it a chance to tap in there and actually really see. So. And there you go. Now this is a little, well, it's fitting around there pretty good. I think there's some irregularity in the metal, but so I'm finished shaping this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a finish on the handle, and then we'll put the leather on and finish it, and then I'll be done. Cut this piece off to length. Okay, after tapping that to home, if you look at it, it's pretty uniform all the way up. So
that means it'll be tight.
It'll be really.
The whole thing will be tight.
We tested it and it's very tight. So now I'm just going to put a finish on there.
Let's see what you're
This
doing.
is a. I want to tighten the top. This is friction polish, and it's basically a wax and a shellac mixed together, and it puts a really, really nice finish on these things.
Where can you get that?
Most woodworking stores carry it.
Is this gonna stink up the house?
Not much. So what I do is I just get the towel wet with it, and then just spin it on there. I don't really put it on the part that goes into the tool. It doesn't need a finish on it. All right, and then you let it dry. And once it dries, then you turn your lathe on and you polish it up. And that's all there is to it. I might put 2 or 3 coats on there just to make it look better. And then a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put a wax finish on the very last, but it takes about 5 minutes for it to dry. It gets a little sticky.
So this is the fun part,
Mm-hmm.
beautification part.
Yeah, this is the instant gratification of wood turning.
And what is this? Oops, I shouldn't have touched it. What is this line going down through there?
Where?
It's like a squiggly line going down.
Oh, that's just the grain. Yeah, it reverses in a lot of places, and so let's see. Yeah, it's already dry. So then
And it's not gonna flip off there?
nope. I tightened this chuck.
So you're kind of sanding it with a paper towel?
No, it's polishing.
Polishing, okay.
See how shiny it gets. now I've got finish on my fingers too. Alright, now I'm gonna turn it off. This is still wet on there, so I can wipe it down with some more. Let it dry again. Doesn't take very much finish to finish these things.
Wake up. You have to come inspect the final product. Wake up, Cookie. I'll inspect it for you.
Okay, the process of making the leather ferrules for this, I've got my pieces of leather. I've got 2 of them cut out already, and then I've got 1 more to cut out, so I just use my compass and mark it out. I made it large because remember I'm going to turn it down on the lathe. So I gave myself enough to where I could see to cut it out with my scissors. Gotta put my glasses on so I can see my mark.
Are those specific scissors for leather, or just some really heavy duty scissors?
They're really just heavy duty scissors that I'm here to, and sharpened. These things are almost razor sharp, so you might have, if you do a leather ferrule in the future, you may have to use a razor knife or something. But I don't need that because I got these scissors. And then, so just so I can see my hole later. Now, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to glue these up. Go ahead and put the glue on them, and then drill a hole, and then I'll drill my final hole with that once everything's set up. So let me go ahead and get my glue together. This one needs a little trim.
I hear the dryer going in the background. We didn't have that noise earlier. You want to shut the door?
Nah. Getting my hide glue to glue the hide up. This is liquid hide glue. It's I use it on the wood, but also it works really good on leather as well. I guess you could use something like contact cement or something like that, but hey, I got this. That's what I'm using. It's a lot of glue. I have a lot of squeeze out, and that's fine. Stuff sets up pretty quickly, but until it does, it's a little slippery. And it's a little stinky too, but it washes up with water, which is really nice. Okay. We'll let it sit there and set. I'm gonna wash my hands, and I'm gonna drill our hole here in a second. Might be. All right, so I've drilled a hole through the stack of leather pieces, and I beveled the very end of my tenon to help slide it on, and then I pushed it through here. This is after the glue set up. So I needed to do a little more fine adjustment. So I'm using my rasp here. And this thing does a really good job on leather. I figure since it takes my skin off really good when I hit it, it'll work on leather, and it does. That's it. Now I gotta just sand it down and get some finish on there.
Good.
Okay, now we need to part the handle off of the tenon that I formed. That's really the next to the last step, and the last step will be just finishing the top.
So what did you put on the leather to?
I just same finish as the
same
wood.
finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let me fire it up, and I'm going to do it about half speed. I don't want this handle going all over the place when it breaks through. Nothing to worry about. Huh? What's stuck?
It's not turning or anything.
What? It doesn't have enough pressure on it.
Okay.
It's just there to stabilize it. That's what's squeaking. Okay, that's it. Now all I have to do is just sand that down, put some more friction polish on it, call it done. Just have to chisel off or clean off the top, actually using the chisel itself to clean itself off. Just a little bit at a time, as I clean the leather and the wood both at the same time. And then I'll put some friction polish on the top. The dark area, it was some stain. I thought I was going to stain it, but it looked so good with that friction polish that I decided to go with that.
Yeah, I think the stain was a little dark for it.
Well, I mean, it'll turn that way with age, but notice how well it shaves.
Mm-hmm.
There really will be no sanding for this.
Because it's so sharp.
Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of hand tools. If you sharpen them, they'll make your life so much nicer. Okay, I would say that's it. Now, I am going to sand a little bit around the rim.
What is this dark spot here? Is that in the wood?
No, it's just
A fleck, okay.
yeah.
All right.
So I am going to sand a little bit around the edge. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. Now it's just a matter of
Put some more polish on it.
put some more polish on it. And
Okay.
just putting the polish on the end here, and it will darken over time and get smooth because you'll be pounding the heck out of it with your mallet. And yeah, I mean,
All right, hold it
it'll
still.
take some
Okay.
burnishing.
All right, hold on. Very nice.
And so what we do is just try to polish it a little bit, but over time this thing gets beaten down.
Oh, you can always put more polish on it. Or, yeah, the undercoat.
Well, you don't have to. Just by using it, it will burnish it.
Oh, okay.
It just takes time and usage, and it'll be fine. It'll do its job. And there's the finished product right there.
All right.
Okay. Like, subscribe, and post on all the social media sites you can. Have a wonderful day, and keep those shavings coming.